Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video from myself, Fraser. Here we are back in the Mount Cook Airlines Flock of Friendship livery. This is one of my favourite liveries of all time, more so for the nostalgia, being a kid growing up in Rotorua and seeing these aircraft. They're predominantly the main aircraft that airlines that operated out of Rotorua along with Ansett New Zealand, and yeah, it's definitely got a very strong bit of my heart there, this aircraft, this airline. More so the Hawker Cine, but I do remember vividly these aircraft being used flying over my house into Rotorua Airport. And here we are, it's a very sunny day here in Wellington, but I did this flight because of the this cloud ceiling and just adding in a few waypoints. In Rotorua is quite low, so it'll be quite a nice flight into Rotorua. Hopefully the weather stays as it is. So yeah, we're going to be doing a flight up to Rotorua, which these these Flock of Friendships were used on, as well as flying down to Christchurch and to Queenstown, where predominantly most of the tourists went, because Mount Cook Airlines was first and foremost a tourist airlines, taking passengers into Mount Cook, that's bread and butter, where it started, and all of those airports in the South Island there. And then I do believe it branched off to doing full service, passenger service flying and whatnot. But yeah, we'll get straight into it, eh? We'll do a wee short flight up to Rotorua using the old VOR navigation and 1NDB here in Tupua. So we'll get into it, we'll load up the aircraft and we'll get on our way. So yeah, like I mentioned, it's very simple. One thing you do have to do is come over here and select ground power like so, and then we'll enter in our weights. So we'll go into this page here, view sim brief. We'll start our sim brief. I've got a few issues with Navigraphs here. For some reason it won't load up my sim brief flight. So we'll just carry on and I'll just enter it from SimBrief from the website. So our block fuel is going to be 2400. I'll make it 25, that's perfect. And our takeoff weight is going to be 18.1 tons, so we can scroll this back down to, I'll just make it 18. That's perfect. Alright, we'll start setting up this aircraft. We'll go into SimBrief, import our flight plan, which we don't really need to worry about it. We'll be doing this all IFR really, and we'll probably just do our own vectoring. I'm just going to enter in the VOR for Wellington, which is 12.3. What we will do is we'll turn on the radios. And we'll set this one up for Palmerston North. Which for some reason isn't moving. Why isn't it not working? Very, very interesting. It's the joys of Flight Simulator, eh? Like sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work. What I might do is I might just restart the aircraft. Good old restart seems to do the trick. Right, the moment of truth. Will this restart fix anything? Let's see. Right, can I change this number now? This, not necessarily. There's definitely an issue with this. Actually, if I turn these radio masters back on, does that fix anything? Ah, that's a shame. For some reason, this is not working. What I might do is I might just start it up to see if it's like a fault with the maybe turning on the aircraft will maybe fix that. We'll find out. And what am I going to do? I have to redo the payload again, so enter in our data. So fuel was 24. And our total takeoff weight will make it around about that'll be fine. We'll just go ahead and just turn on this aircraft. So we'll turn on the inverters. We'll turn on the fuel pumps. Is this? Oh, now it's working. Brilliant, sweet. So you do have to turn on the inverters to get that second one working, which is interesting. So we'll get back into here and we'll enter in our relevant data again. We'll get the FS HUD to do its thing. Oh, get out of 12.3. Palmerston North is going to be 13.4. And we'll set this for Wellington DME, which is 12.3. And we'll set our runway heading to our runway heading, which is 3-4. And I might change, oh yeah, this because on our departure is going to be the it's going to be the radio departure, which is this one here. So yeah, at 3.5 nautical miles, we will be wanting to turn left to 352 until we get to 6,000 feet. Then I'm assuming that's when we can establish ourselves on the on our heading. So we'll just remember that. Actually, we'll pin that to our charts. But I do need to set our heading, so 78, 72. And our outbound from Palmerston North is going to be 349. Perfect. So we're ready to go, folks, so we'll just request our startup and we'll get going. Oh, one thing we will do is we need to go into our fuel trims and set our fuel trims for our startup, which is going to be around about just above the 20%. Right, I think that's us, folks. We'll go ahead and turn on the relative respective lights, and we can now start up engine port side first. We'll wait for that to spool up a bit, and then we can move this fuel conditioner lever to open. As it spurts into life. That's one thing, the sound isn't quite there, is it? For some reason. Now you can hear it. Hear that roar of the darts. We can now turn that, move that all the way to shut, I think it is. Lock. Is it lock or shut? Lockout. And then we can do the same to end the starboard side of the engine, the port side I should say. Turn that on. You can turn on the generators for that starboard side. Move that to the open position. Let it fire on up. And then we can now move this to the lockout position. And I'm just going to turn up the volume just a touch on Flight Simulator. Right, I think we are ready to go, folks. So we should set our squawk to 40. Is it 4051? And I think we will now get request taxi clearance. Oh, we can now turn on that generator, we can turn that to aircraft, and then we can turn on the old alternators, turn on the taxi light. We can select that, switch back to starboard, and just close this. Close that up. And I think we'll turn on our windshield heating and set flaps. We'll set it 2 notches. Oh, and we'll scroll up our fuel trim to takeoff, which is going to be around about there, 100%. And we can now cruise on out to our runway. Look at that beautiful sight. I love the Mount Cook Airlines, the final livery that they had. Although many would argue that the original Mount Cook livery was their favourite, but for me, I like this one. This is the livery that brings back many vivid memories, and I do love the 3 coloured sheet line, the blue, orange / red and yellow. I think it's such a lovely livery, and especially on the HS748s when it swept up the tail, that was a really lovely livery. Right, and we will cruise on out to our departure, follow this taxiway. I can't wait till Asobo update the ATRs for 2024, because I'll definitely be flying that more and more often, but I find it very unstable in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 at the moment. I mean, it's just a It's not even it hasn't even been altered yet for Microsoft Flight Simulator, so you can't complain with that. But I just hope that Flight Simulator in general, they fix some of the user interface, especially when it comes to dragging your values if you just want to load the aircraft up as quickly as possible. Oh, I should push the magic B button to set my altimeters. And for some reason, this Wellington airport scenery really needs to be fixed, because I think there must be a broken taxiway here somewhere, because having to backtrack along the runway is not real life procedures. Right, we're going to turn on our landing lights, and I just hope the weather is working properly, because I was at Rotorua just before there, in Flight Simulator of course, and I thought, oh, this would be a brilliant airport to land in with the low ceiling. So let's hope that it is still like that. An overcast, low cloud ceiling, overcast day in Rotorua, so hopefully that's still there when we arrive. Right, we are ready to go, folks. Just taxi, line up the center line, and we're just going to get going. Alright, we'll start pulling back on our... there is something wrong with this, isn't there? I'm having a few issues with the I just recently put another mod in this, and I do have noticed that since I've done that, the takeoff's been really... this plane usually just lifts off without any input at all. But since then it's been rather abysmal. So once we're 3 point... Once we're 3.5 nautical miles, we'll start that turn to 352. And just enjoy this nice climb out of Wellington Harbour. And then we can start our turn to 352, roughly there. And I think we can go full flaps up. You can see why they've got this for the sort of old school navigation, because you're effectively flying down the middle of this valley here, which is, I was going to say Upper Harbour, that's over there. Not too sure what part of Wellington this is called, Newlands, so, but yeah, you can see why they've got this set up, so you can just, this procedure, so you're just effectively flying out over the low ground here, just in case anything does happen. But I don't think we do need to go to the full to the full altitude. I think, especially because it's such a clear day, we can definitely pull around and try and capture our hit our outbound radial. So we'll just turn around. And while we're here, we'll just pull these back to the open position. We can just pull back our throttles just a touch for climb out. And we have captured the Palmerston North VOR, so we'll just switch on over to their VOR. Oh, and that's gone. We have overshot that. But yeah, we're now flying over Lower Hutt and Upper Hutt here. It's definitely a lovely day to be flying out of Wellington Airport. As they say, you can't beat Wellington on a good day, and that is so very true. Wellington is a very beautiful city on a good day. Right, we will just speed up the simulator just a touch and recapture this VOR. Hopefully that's not the simulator frozen, thank goodness for that. Right, I think we're going to go use the autopilot now. I think we're above that sort of critical altitude where it won't pitch down, hopefully. Turn on our flight directors, we'll turn on autopilot, and we'll turn on indicated airspeed and the heading. And we can probably release the passengers now. And because this is pre sort of 2000s flight, we can let the passengers do their thing. And we'll just cruise up to 16,000 feet. I don't think we need to This is one thing, yeah, there's something definitely not quite right with this. This isn't even moving at all by the looks of it. That's rather frustrating. Yeah, this is the joys of Flight Simulator. There definitely seems to be a bug in this game that's taking away the fun of flying this aircraft, which is a shame. But we definitely are battling a very strong westerly wind here too, by the looks of it. Right, we're just going to level off at that altitude there. Enjoy the stunning Mount Cook Airlines livery on the Fokker Friendship. Absolutely lovely aircraft. And absolutely lovely livery as well. This is a stunning, stunning livery. And yeah, there's something not right with Flight Simulator today, which is... it's the joys of flying Flight Simulator. You have really awesome days when things just go without any problems of the world. And then you just get days where you download something and it works fine, then next minute it seems to have messed up everything. And yeah, you can have two polar opposites with Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can have amazing days and then just the next day, even if you haven't done anything, just the next day something happens and it basically goes right offline. So yeah, there definitely is an issue with this, which is a shame. I did type in the frequency right, did I? It's just, yeah. Problems. I wonder if I'll try the Wellington VOR, but even that seemed a bit suspect, so I'll try 12.3. See, that seems to be working fine. It must be just the, yeah, it must be an issue with Palmerston North then, eh? Alright, we're just going to have to manage that. And yeah, this is probably not going to work how I want it to work because everything feels really out. Right, we'll set up our 2-pore DME, we'll set that up to 16.7. Actually, we're just going to set up the Wellington VOR for this bit. And we'll set... oh, that's good. It's finally sort of working again, which is very much appreciated. And we'll set this to 230. Actually, which one do we want? I forget now which one's which, but yeah, we'll set this to... we'll set R1 to 230. And once I get this set up, we'll go outside and we'll enjoy some of the views of this part of the country, the central North Island. Hang on. Okay, that's 230. That's set to, we'll set that to that's set to Rotorua. We'll set 355, so we're ready for that. And we'll just go outside and enjoy flying over. Where are we flying over at the moment? Flying over, by the looks of it, Taihape, famous for its gumboots. We needed to fly into the airport too. It's a little tricky grass runway strip in between the valleys there that freight aircraft use, and here we are, we're coming into the low ceiling, so that's great as we're flying over, coming up towards Mount Ruapehu and Narahoi and Tongariro there. Wairuru, so that's a military base, and all of this is all military land where they practice and whatnot, and the army there. Sweet, so we will set our altimeter and we will change, we'll just reduce the sim rate just a bit. What we might do just for a bit of a challenge, we'll do a wrong one. We'll do a radio arrival into Rotorua, just trying to see which one it is, and it's that one, so I'm gonna I'm gonna do this arrival into Rotorua. Let me figure this out. So I believe we do have Rotorua on our VR now. And we will fly this radio, so it's going to be our outbound is going to be 89. Actually, I need to update this into here. Right, we'll give this a go. Sweet, so we will set our minimums, which is going to be, well, I don't know if it's relevant in this. It's quite not too sure we set it to 700 or a 1650. We'll set it to 1650. I'm not too, I get a little bit confused with this, and I'm not too sure if radio altitude is, if it is the MDA, if it's the or if it's the one in brackets. We'll set the one in the brackets, we'll set it to about there, it doesn't really matter. Right, we're going to have to go into heading mode now. And we'll set this to Rotorua DME VOR. And we'll start our descent as well. What are we doing? What are we doing? We're set up for Rotorua, so we're gonna, yeah, that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna set this outbound to 289, which is going to be 269. And we're just going to self-vector ourselves in for this. And we want to be at 6,300 feet. We can probably turn on our landing lights. This is very unconventional. I'm not a real-world pilot. I'm just making stuff as I go, but I'll turn up the fuel trims while I'm here. And we want to stay 12 nautical miles outside of Rotorua's VOR. And we should probably start raising the nose soon. I think in real life they would have just vector us in for finals, but we'll do this little arc approach because I do like doing them, and it's been a little while since I've done one. Quite cool going through the clouds here. This is going to be a nice little approach into Rotorua. What we will do is we will just level out here. Actually, no, we'll go down to what we're... Actually, no, we will level out here. I think we move these to the lockout position, get ourselves ready for our approach. And we're just using this needle for a bit of guidance. Once it starts getting towards that 269, we'll start our turn to be on course for this heading. As you can see, like this is just cheating, but it's good reference that just for newbies here, it's good. It's like having trainer wheels, as in like having your little thing. What we could do, we can make it a little bit more difficult and just turn that off. Give ourselves an extra challenge. Alright, just having a few issues here. I just had to pause it for to chat. Oh, it's frustrating that actually. Just had to answer a phone call, and now that low cloud layer has disappeared, which is a bit of a shame. Oh, that's why the flaps are down. Alright, we'll just carry on as if what we're doing, and we'll follow this inbound in. It's a bit of an annoying thing when someone rings you and you're doing something and then everything's all cleared up now, which is, it is what it is. Right, so we're going to track this inbound in, and then what I will do, I'll set this one up for my final approach course, which is 29. And now we're going to turn around. We're now within 12 nautical miles. And then we're setting our next waypoint to I'm just going to slow the sim rate while I do this. I'm going to set this to 119, so 299, and then once we hit that, we will start our descent down to 4,500 feet. Actually, I'm going to scroll that down and start our descent because I kept it off so it could break through the clouds, but unfortunately that's now no longer the case. It's all cleared off. So we're back now at 12 nautical miles out, so I'm just turning the heading indicator to bring this in line with, to keep ourselves 90 degrees off of our DME, and now we're going to go straight down to 4,500 feet. And then we're going to set this to 159, which is going to be 339 for the actual sort of inbound, but we set it to this outbound thing here. And we want to be at 4,000 feet for that, or above. And in real life, there'll be another person here doing all of these different things, so we are by ourselves doing this really. But we're managing, we're coping, we're keeping this almost on that 12 nautical mile DMB, which is brilliant. We can now start pulling this up now. And you can see why that altitude is set at, you have to be 4,000 feet or above, because we've got this low terrain here. Oh, I better set that altitude. Then we will, it's just a shame that we lost that nice low cloud, because it just would have made this VFR more, I guess you could say more realistic, more, you know, you really are using the radio navigation to guide you. As you can see, it's just not quite the same when it's clear like this. So I've set this to this heading to 199, which would be 19 degrees. And we're just sort of pulling back our speed, getting ready for our sort of like final approach. And yeah, this is how you do one of these DME arcs, or more my understanding of how to do these DME arcs. I do believe you can fly over the DME itself and fly outbound, but this is another way to do it that I've watched on a YouTube video. So yeah, my understanding, my interpretation of how to fly these, but I think it seems to all work the same really. There's a lot of pitch up and pitch down here, so it must be a bit of what should we call it? Bit of turbulence here. That reminds me, everything's all switched on, landing lights and whatnot are turned on, so we're all good. And once that bar comes right across, we'll start turning in for our final approach inbound course. So we'll do a bit of both. Once that comes right across, that bar comes across, we'll start start our turn. And then we'll set our course to 29. And then once we sort of get thereabouts, we can basically arm our VOR and just use our VOR to track us in. And once we get to 9.5 nautical miles, we'll descend down to 2,800 feet, so we'll do that very soon. What I might do is just give us a bit of a challenge. I might just... I'm just going to slow this right down. And I might just give ourselves some fake web array. We'll set it to... yeah, we'll set it to that, just give ourselves a bit more realism in a way. Right, we can now start our descent down to 2,000 feet. We can start thinking about putting our flaps out, start slowing this aircraft down. And this is what I can imagine in real life. This is what it's like flying into Rotorua when you track this VOR. And going off memories, when I was a kid, our house was sort of around this area here, so and going to the race, we used to go to the race course a lot to walk the dog, and just pull this up just a fraction. Yeah, the aircraft would basically fly over here. Actually, I think around about now the aircraft would start, usually around about here, depending on the pilot. I'm guessing the landing gear would be deployed. Did we disconnect the autopilot we have now? And yeah, usually around about here the pilots would start their turns, and they use these little red lights towards the end as their, not towards the end, these lights, from what I understand, we're sort of quite a recentish sort of addition, and the pilots would use these red flashing lights for guidance. Yeah, flying over the lovely Rotorua, Lake Rotorua. I think all the flaps are all deployed, so that's brilliant. Flying over my old high school there of Rotorua Lakes High, that's McCoy Intermediate. I definitely remember planes flying over here to here. And yeah, this is how you fly into Rotorua. I guess I could be a little bit low here, get back on the puppy. As you see, Rotorua is a really cool airport to land in. It's got some complexity to it. It's nice open, and yeah, it's a nice all-round airport to land at. Just going all over the place here actually. Right, we're gonna nail this landing. And here we are, arrived at my old local airport of Rotorua. As we slow on down, we can now redeploy the flaps, pull up the flaps, retract the flaps, and turn off the landing lights. We'll use this little turning bay just up here. And yeah, here we are folks, arrived into Rotorua Airport. Yeah, I'm just going to speed up the simulator just a little bit, just so we can get through this taxi bit. Speed her up. Oh, that's going a bit too fast. And we'll just turn off our taxi lights now. They would do it a lot closer, but we'll just turn it off here. And I believe we're on taxiway parking stand 2. And unfortunately, oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, I was going to say, in Flight Simulator 2024, these nice little parking bays are not depicted on the game, so it's a bit of a shame, but here in 2020 they are, so it's great. And we'll point into the north, because that's the landing we were doing, was the north runway. And that is us, ladies and gentlemen. We've now arrived into Rotorua. We can engage the ground power, throttle these all the way back to shut. And we'll go ahead and turn off all of these fuel pumps. And yeah, here we are, folks, arrived into Rotorua on what was supposed to be a very cold, not cold, but overcast, gloomy day. And we'll start the unloading, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the flight, and we'll see you again next time.